Bonjour, madame et messieurs. Je m'appelle Christophe. Bienvenue dans le Futur. Hi, everybody joining us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We're going to be talking about the consequences of comparison. Molly, I think you have a story to share with us.
Yes, guys, I do. I have a story to share when I was at Art Center and I was looking at other people's work and I was super ashamed, and I want to tell you more about this story when we get back.
All right, let's say hello to the rest of our dream team. Mr. Ben Burns is back.
What's up, guys? I'm super excited to be on the show. We're going to be doing some pretty cool and new stuff today. So I'm pumped.
And look at you. You look pumped, Ben. You've been losing a lot of weight.
A little bit.
Little bit. I have some of your older pictures if we want to share those later.
Definitely.
Let's say hello to also Aaron, the man behind the machine, the person who makes this all possible.
Woo woo.
Aaron, you have your fans.
I guess I do have a couple of fans, which is really cool.
In Espanol.
You have a few fans, and they like you. They always wonder, why is it you always look like you just woke up?
Because I did just wake up.
All right. You know, you guys, we're going to be doing a couple of things on today's show. We're going to introduce a couple of new segments. You're definitely going to want to stick around for that. We're going to talk about this particular topic, and we want to hear from you. You guys know what time it is. This is unrehearsed, unedited. This is raw. All right, welcome back. So Molly, I want to hear more about your story about this time that you were feeling this despair and this shame. And I think we all go through this in our creative journey where we look at work that we think we're capable of doing, and then we look at the work we're actually producing, and there's this huge gap. And I could feel some of the emotion in your voice. So take us back to Art Center. Tell us how you overcame this.
Yeah. So when first of all, I just felt like at Art Center for the first couple terms, especially, that I didn't belong. And it was because I didn't have a background in design. So when I looked at all these other people, I would come into the classroom and, I would be working all night on an assignment, and I would come in the classroom and look at the other work on the wall, and I would feel I wanted to go into the corner and hide. I would not want to put my work up, first of all. And as soon as I put it up, I would want to take it down. And it was just like this negative self-talk that just started happening in my mind where I'm like, I don't belong here. This isn't, like, look at all these other people. They're doing such a better job than I am. What's wrong with me? And it just like spiraled downward and downward. And
wait, before you continue on, were there any people that you can confide in or share, classmates, that you also felt like, oh, is this hard for you too?
I did have, I guess, like, there were in class a couple friends that I had that I would be like, this was really hard. But when I looked, it wasn't like the person that I confided with actually was my therapist. And that was the person that told me the saying, compare equals despair. And that's when it just shed a lot of light on what I was doing in my mind and to myself. And it helped me work through this period of time. And it took work, but.
And what did she say to you?
Well, she was like, when I was telling her this story, kind of what I just told you, she was like, Molly. And then she said, compare equals despair. And she was like, and I was like, what does that mean? And she said, she was just like, why are you comparing yourself to these people that have been doing this so much longer than you have? You just started, first of all. And she's like, only compare yourself to the person that you were a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago or a year ago. She's like, are you getting better? And if it's a yes, then get off your own back. She was like, would you talk to yourself the way that you're talking to yourself right now? Would you talk to a child like that? And I said, no, I wouldn't.
Oh, the child talk.
Yeah,
I like
and I was
that.
like, wow, that's very true. And I was being so hard on myself and just getting so down about, like, why am I not good enough? Why am I not as good as them? That was the thing that I kept looking at. And I'm like, how can I be there? Like, how can I, like, be so, put my work up and be confident about it?
So when did you start to feel okay with this, that you're on your own journey and that the comparison was killing you?
Well, I feel like it was after this session that I had with my therapist, and it was like, I remember this so much, like that session so well, because I was like, wow, like it was a lot to take in, and I was like, you're right, I am doing this, and I need to figure out how to like deal and talk to myself differently and cut myself some slack, like give myself a break. And so it was with that, learning that, and then also I was getting better. And I did see my work improving, and I did start liking my work a lot more. So it was the combination between the two. And it was really the last couple terms at Art Center that I really was feeling the most confident about myself.
The last couple of terms?
Yeah.
So we're talking about junior, senior year?
Yeah.
So it took you a while. This was an arc then.
Yeah.
And do you want to mention the name of this therapist at Art Center that
it wasn't at Art Center.
Oh, it wasn't at Art Center. Okay.
I personally like
your personal
therapist. Yeah. She's
That's
great.
excellent.
I would shout out to her.
Well, I'm looking at the live chat right now on YouTube, and there's a lot of people feeling it. They're saying imposter syndrome, I have it bad. My friend Patrick Mannion, who I went to school with at Art Center, said I didn't put my work up either. He's talking about me, and then I would just show up on the last day and put it up and blow everybody away.
No, yeah, I think there was one time, this was like the beginning, where I did the work, but I didn't put it up because I was, and then there was, and you know how the teachers are at Art Center too, is like there was one time where I did the work and I tried, and my teacher skipped over mine. She didn't even give me a credit.
Woo!
Why did she skip over you?
Because that was her saying, like, you don't even deserve it.
Oh, man.
It's a diss. It's the ultimate diss.
Yeah, it's like, so I was like, damn. And then she talked to me after class, but I was just like, I tried. Like,
what'd she say to you after class?
She kind of just was like, I don't know. Do you know Tracy Schiffman? She's awesome.
Yeah.
I love her.
That's Roland Young's daughter.
Yeah, I know. So
I just met her for the first time at the grad show a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
She's amazing. And I'd had her multiple times, so her and I developed a relationship, so it was really great. I love her as a teacher, too.
Ben, do you want to share anything about this?
I don't have anything right off the top of my head. I don't.
You don't suffer from the imposter syndrome?
I do, but I don't have any stories like ready to go. So.
Are you busy checking your Twitter page or something?
Yep, pretty much.
You're here for a reason, right? You're going to participate in this with us?
Yes.
Aaron, what about you? How have comparison hurt you in your life and your experiences?
I'm checking my notes here. Okay, so the way I think I guess is different than what you're expecting. I don't have like a story, but it's just like a thought I had. It's like when you compare two things, you gotta like, it's naturally like a competitive win-lose type of thing. You know, like someone's better than someone else, or that thing is better than that thing. Like that's inevitably gonna happen when you compare two things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and I feel like that also breeds like jealousy. I'm sure that.
Yep.
What are you trying to tell me, dude?
Cut to your camera, dude.
Oh.
And the internet's saying the live stream is a little bit low.
We can fix
Maybe
that.
push the gain just up a bit. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, keep going.
Much louder now. I hope that solved it.
Let's try. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I feel like if you always try to compare things, you're gonna get jealous, and it's gonna bum you out, and it's just not good to do. I think what I heard Molly say was you're only supposed to compare yourself to yourself.
Your previous self.
Your previous self.
That's a healthy way to look at it.
Yeah.
Measure your growth by how far you've grown instead of looking at how far you're away from where you want to be in other people's work. Now, I have some things to share about this thing too. This is an affliction I think affects a lot of creative people, that we see this wonderful work. We see lettering artists draw beautiful hand-done things, and they do it in one masterful stroke, and we can't even hold the pen correctly, or we can't get the ink to draw down on the page consistently. And it is super intimidating. It really is. The thing that I can say to anybody that's watching this, and I'm going to try to sound a little less preachy for the guys that are tuning in, is perhaps think of it this way. Don't mistake someone else's ending for your beginning. You can't show up at a decathlon for Olympic athletes and think, wow, I need to be able to run, jump, throw spears and all that kind of stuff the way they do, because they're at the end of their journey. They put in countless years of practice, exercise, focus, training to get there. And then you show up on the scene, untrained, an amateur, and you think, what am I doing here? And you start to tear yourself apart. So you're already putting yourself at a complete disadvantage in that particular situation. So don't mistake someone else's ending for your beginning. And then work on it. And I've talked about this before, is that a lot of people measure their happiness in the end product, in the things that they make. Maybe you can measure your happiness in the progress that you've made, how much you've grown, if you've learned a new tool, a trick, or a tip. If you're introduced to a new typeface that you've never seen before and you start to learn how to use it. Celebrate those moments. And don't worry, the things that you make are more like artifacts in a timeline, and you have a long life and a long career ahead of you. We have enough people, external stimulation, telling us that we're not good enough. We don't need to tell that to ourselves. And I feel that pain, and I feel it deeply. So let's talk to some people online. Can we do that? Who's monitoring those comments?
I'm looking at them right now.
Okay. Somebody's saying that I got the Hype Williams lighting going on.
Yeah, that you
Pat
look
Mannion,
awesome.
I always have the Hype Williams lighting. It costs a small fortune. We could have bought a car instead, but we decided to buy this lighting setup so that I look good. I appreciate you noticing that. What else we got going on here?
Someone told me fake it till you make it, and I've been faking it for 17 years.
Yep. What else?
See.
Can we zoom in on that, Molly? Because that's minuscule.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's huge over here on this big TV.
Yeah, but we're just command plus that, please. Make the typeface bigger, see? Yeah.
Chris Tucker. Dang, put Ben on the spot. Now he's comparing himself to all the other stories.
That's super meta. Super meta, Chris Tucker. Awesome job.
Nice job, man.
Ben just choked up a little bit there. It's like, I don't have a story that compares to that.
You told me I wasn't in the first half.
Yeah. But you said, I'll just hang out. There's no such thing as a free ticket. You sit in the chair, you're on the spot. How about we compare our salaries to others? Okay, guys, I have a story to share with you. Many years ago, I had a young creative director working for me, and we were kind of in the zenith of all that was going on in the motion industry, so I was writing huge bonus checks. Let me see how many figures. 5-figure bonus checks, guys.
Hello.
Right? Big numbers.
Damn.
And this creative director played a really important role in our company, and I wrote her this check, and I gave it to her as a bonus. She opened it, and she looked at me, and tears were kind of welling up in her eyes. And she's like, oh, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. And she gave me this really deep hug. Deep hug. The next day, she came into the office. She goes, Chris, I'm just so grateful for the check that you gave me. I'm just curious. How much did you give the other creative director?
Oops.
And so that was just like, that blew my mind. I said, you know what? That's none of your business. What I give each person is an expression of my appreciation. What I give someone else should have no bearing as to what I gave you. And he said, you're going to have to be content with that because I'm not going to tell you what I gave somebody else. So you see that comparison mentality? That's deadly there. That in 1 minute, she was almost at tears, so grateful for the check. And then she wanted to think to herself, if I made more money than the next person, then I'm happy. Yeah. So it didn't matter the amount that I gave her. It was more that if it was more than the next person. Damn. So there's a good comparison there.
It takes all the joy out of that.
Yeah, wow. And then that stung me.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I'm just trying to be a good business owner, a good boss. And I think the check was north of $20,000 as a bonus check. I mean, times were great back then. Yeah, I mean, they were great. Wow. We had a lot of money to give, and I was happy to give that money back to the people who helped to make it possible. So there's an example of comparison. Yeah. And this happens a lot. Now, I want to talk a little bit about comparison as a means to learn. And there's a talk that Anthony Robbins gives about this in his talk called Building Rapport. And he was talking about how we understand other people and what building rapport means. Building a rapport is about understanding and sharing common beliefs and values with the other person. So it's important for you to match tone, language, speed, vocabulary, all those kinds of things with the other person. And then you start to align. You kind of see the world in the same way. And he was talking about a scene from Dances with Wolves. And that scene had... Excuse me. I had clear. All right, I'm back. This was a scene with... Oh, now I forgot his name. Who's the Kevin Costner? Kevin Costner Dances with Wolves, and he's a lone cowboy.
Best actor ever.
Best actor ever, according to Ben Burns. And he's surrounded by Native Americans. And I think it was the Sioux tribe. And he's going to get slaughtered because he's one person and they're hundreds, if not thousands of people. And he's trying to communicate to them that he's no threat. They have their bows and arrows out, ready to kill him. And he's struggling, feeling the heat. And then he decides to look around and say, buffalo, buffalo. And then he would do this. And he would gesture with his hand, and he would march around like as if you were a buffalo. And then they would nod and say something like Tatanka. Tatanka was a Sioux word for buffalo. And so they found this common language. So we compare things. We try to find things that are similar in our mind so that we understand the world. And that's a healthy way of comparison, to relate it to something. And there's a definite slippery slope when you start to compare, because oftentimes when you show somebody your work, the first reaction that they give you isn't, that was amazing, that was really smart, good idea, great concept, communicates really well, beautiful typography. They don't say that. What do?
Oh, that
they
looks
search their memory bank, right? Molly knows where I'm going with the story.
Yeah.
They search their memory bank for something that is similar they've seen. Like, oh, that's just like something that Margot Chase did.
Mm-hmm.
That's just something like Michael Beirut. And when you hear that, I think they're trying to relate that work and understand it, but it sounds super dismissive as the person who created it. No, I wasn't referencing Margot Chase or Michael Beirut. This is its own piece. And by the way, Margot Chase didn't invent that, nor did Michael Beirut. So that's where comparison starts to eat at you.
Well, also, I feel like there's like a fine line that you need to straddle, where it's like you want to compare. It's about learning, and when you're looking at something and you're trying to compare your work to like judge it, do you know where I'm going with this kind of, versus like comparing and putting yourself down? So it's like there's a borderline there, kind of, which I was thinking about this because I was like, how does that really work? Because I know like in one of your classes, your assignment was like the copycat assignment or something.
It's called the master copy assignment.
Yeah. So I don't know. That was just something that I wanted to ask you. Isn't there a fine line that it's kind of like compare in a negative way, then it's bad for your like mental health and your growth, your personal growth? But if it's like you need to compare in like a positive way for...
Yeah, someone was saying that...
Your mic's off.
Someone was saying that in the comments, that like you're like always comparing all the time, even if you don't know you're doing it. It's like that's just how your mind works. Like what you were saying, Chris, that's how you learn things. And then I mean that's just, it's like part of being human. You compare all the time. So there's like got to be a right way to do it and a wrong way somehow, you know?
Yeah, you're drawing connections between the things that you know and the things that you don't know. So that's the kind of comparison to understand. Let's focus on the positive parts. If we can just momentarily just sweep away the negative parts where you feel like you're not worth it and you suffer from the imposter syndrome. Where I'm talking about comparing to understand is this. If we were to look at a piece of work, Molly, let's find something that you really look up to on the internet. Let's pull something up that you love.
Damn.
I'm just putting you on the spot. I'm going to give Molly a few seconds here. Just pull up a favorite artist, a designer, and let's look at it. Part of the way my brain is hardwired is to look at things and to break them down. There's an episode, I think it was on Chef's Kitchen or Master Chef, a cooking show competition here in the States, where they play this game like Name That Tune, where the two competing chefs would try to name as many ingredients as possible within a spoonful. And so they don't get to taste it yet. And it's some kind of broth, and the host or hostess gives them each a bite, and somebody says, I can name 7 ingredients, and the other person says, I can name 10. So the person who says 10 has to be able to name 10. And they're able to break it down. Salt, nutmeg, cinnamon, I taste vinegar, and they would go on and on. And to me, that's how I look at the world. When I see an image, I don't look at it like, wow, that's so incredible, and my work is terrible. I don't judge. I remove the labels. I say that work is interesting. Let's see if I can understand why I'm attracted to that piece. Is it the color, the typography? Is it the idea itself? What can I learn from this? What kind of information and lessons can I extract from this? And I believe if you have this ability, you will move towards becoming a life learner. And that's really important.
Okay.
Are you ready with something, Molly?
Yeah.
I've given you plenty of time.
I know. I'm getting it up right now.
Okay.
Why are you
Any minute now.
Why are you doing all this stuff?
I'm trying to put it on the.
Well, why? Why are you trying to do this? Why not just where you were on Pinterest? Just pull it up. Just
Okay.
like I'll cut to
I got it.
I feel like.
Drum roll.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. That's it, by the way. I mean,
Okay.
Ooh.
doesn't have to be perfect.
All right.
I've seen this before. Chris, you've seen this.
Yes, I have. This is a wonderful piece. Let's look at it.
I don't
Beautiful.
know why it's cut off.
No. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Don't. Yeah, you're getting hung up on that. Don't compare yourself to being perfect. Let's go. All right. Let's look at. Whoa! Who cut out that screen? All right. Let's look at this. Now, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, Facebook Live, whatever, there's a couple hundred of you guys that I can see. Look at this image here. It's a powerful image.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So what we want to do is to look at this from 10 feet away. What do you see? What do you like about what you see? Let's start to break it down. Molly, you want to play along, or Mr. Ben Burns?
When I first saw this, it actually stopped me because I was like, wow, this is so powerful. It's like a play on.
Remember that game? How many ingredients can you identify in this image? What makes this thing good?
Well, I love that the shapes are used for two things, right? I mean, obviously, it's two hands holding each other, and they become two guns.
Okay, so there's two reads on this image. That's the first thing that you're going to notice, and that's why this is a powerful concept. And they found some similarities between a handshake and somebody holding a gun. And the forms line up perfectly.
And there's something to be said about the gun that each hand is holding is actually attached to the other person and pointing directly at them. So maybe it's something like, internally that the weapon is ourselves or something like that.
What I like about this piece is this piece asks you to dig deeper. This is not about pure aesthetics. It asks you, why are they holding guns? Is this something about betrayal? Is this an anti-violence piece? And we want to solve the puzzle. And when we solve it, something pleasurable happens inside our brain. It feels like it's a riddle, and we're able to complete the picture. And so this is one of the challenges of being a great designer, is to create a piece that brings you into the conversation. It gives you enough clues so you can figure it out, but it isn't so obvious. Now let's talk about the graphic design quality of this thing. The beauty, the simplicity. Talk about that, you guys.
It's very high contrast.
Yeah, it is.
There's only 3 colors.
Only 3 colors, no shading.
And it's just, like, the type is very small in the left corner. So that's not.
Okay.
What's the context on this?
Wait, don't zoom in. We're going to find out in a second, Ben.
Okay.
Because you want to complete the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to make sense
Killing
in a
me.
second. It's killing all of us. But I'm just saying, stay here at 10 feet away before we kind of zoom in to 3 feet and then 3 inches. Let's just stay here for a moment. If you want to create a striking poster, use the most contrasty colors. There's no coincidence that Russian, German, and American propaganda posters for some time, 3 colors, black, white, and red. Very powerful colors, super bold. And a lot of political posters are done this way as well. And there's a restraint here. Notice there isn't any kind of superfluous detail. We see exactly what we need to see so that we read the hands. And despite it being mostly silhouette, there's enough detail. Gosh, my throat's killing me today. In the
water?
thumbnail, and I'm drinking as much water, but in the thumbnail, look at the thumbnails. They're actually drawn in just a little bit. And the curvature of the palm gives it a 3-dimensional quality without it being 3D. So if you were to vector draw this and you were only to do the silhouette, what would happen? The image would look really flat. So this person knows how to make something bold, yet give us enough details so it feels really well thought out. There's illusion of dimension. This image is centered. So there's symmetry here. And then we say, what is that thing at the bottom? I believe that's going to tell us the rest of what we need. The little typography at the bottom. And that gives it a little asymmetrical quality to it as well. They didn't just center the type underneath this. And so there's another thing that's happening here. This is designed by a professional, somebody who knows what they're doing. Let's zoom in.
I like that it's imperfect as well. You know, the line work is not like perfect, I guess.
Can we zoom into the type at the bottom? Let's read it. Molly, since it's backwards for me, I can't read it.
It's so blurry right now. I don't even think I can read this.
Okay, we'll never know. But this could be about betrayal. This could be about hidden motivations, subtext, something like that. Since we can't read it, we'll relax. That's okay.
Okay.
Do the internets know? Do you guys know what this is?
Yeah. Does the internet know what this is?
Somebody was guessing pentagram, but I don't. That's a question mark. That's not a statement there. Clean, bold, and minimal. You see, clean, bold, and minimal is what I would consider the 20-foot view, because we have not yet dissected it to anything that you can repeat. Because if you say to somebody else, make something clean, bold, and minimal, they can interpret 100 ways. So you're not going to walk away with ingredients, the recipe to recreate this kind of work. And that's what's really important in comparing, in breaking something down to understand it. Let's see, does the internet have any other questions? Because we're trying to keep our show on a timeline today. So if there's nothing else that the internet wants to talk about in relationship to comparison and the consequences of comparing. And there was a quote from Theodore Roosevelt, that we use: comparison is the thief of joy.
Damn.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let's do the next little bit then. Today we have a couple additional segments that we're going to be talking about. One is called Pitch This, and I'll explain that in a little bit. And the other one is called Things I Learned in Design School. And Ben Burns is going to play an important role in both those things. So those of you guys that want to see more of Ben, stick around. I thought today I want to read some mail. We're getting mail. People are sending us packages, so...
Is this mail time?
It's mail time.
Okay.
Do we have a graphic for mail time? Is there music?
Yes.
Is there music?
Yes, there's music.
Is it playing right now?
Yeah.
I can't hear it, but okay. I love it. Okay, so first piece of mail today is coming from Evan Wright from Austin, Texas. Evan. Okay, I'm going to read Evan's letter. If you guys want to have your question answered, a good way is to send me a piece of snail mail. That's what this is, snail mail. So I'm going to try and do this so it doesn't block my Hype Williams lighting here. To Chris Doe in the future, my name is Evan Wright, and I'm a motion designer based in Austin, Texas. I just wanted to thank you guys for all that you do. Aw. I am almost 2 months into pursuing full-time freelance design, animation, and video work. Your show has been incredibly helpful and inspiring. The knowledge shared helped give me the confidence to leave my ad agency job and start this new chapter of my life. Wow, you feeling that? You getting the feels?
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
It has been both scary and exciting. I always thought it was so crazy that something like the future was made completely free for the audience.
Damn.
And for that, I am very grateful. I'm feeling your gratitude right now. And if I weren't a robot, I might even tear up. He said, Chris, I don't know why he said Chris, because I thought this was sent to me. Chris mentioned on one episode that if we really thought what you guys do is valuable, then we could send him 10% from our first freelance gig. So I wanted to do just that. Along with this
Wow.
letter is a check that is a token of my appreciation of the work you put into the show. I hope it can contribute at least a little to all the cool things you guys do. I look forward to seeing more from Blind in the future. I'm glad to be a part of this community. Thanks for everything. Now, it almost fell off the envelope here, but I'm going to hold this up and cover some important things. There's the detail. You guys see there's a check there from Evan Wright. And
so
it is
sweet.
it is for, get this guys, it's for $65. And,
Oh, that's awesome.
and in the note, the memo part, it says for business knowledge goodness.
That's
I
so
love that.
cute.
Evan, I'm going to do this, and hopefully you guys don't think I'm a total loser.
Oh, cut to him.
Any day now, Aaron, you would cut to this. Thank you so much. I'm feeling it. So let's open
I'm
up the next
feeling
bit. And you guys need to understand something. I want to tell you a little bit of a story here. What we do, we give away for free, but it's not free. You guys do understand that. There's a tremendous amount of equipment, people, resources, and time. And most of my time is spent in writing, producing, editing, commenting, giving you guys feedback, and building the community that we've done. It is not free because I choose, rather than work on client-paying work, to build this community for you guys, because the mission here has always been to disrupt the education model, to see if we can do better than what's been done for the last couple hundred years. And I think we're doing that. We're in the right place in the right time. And so I want to thank everybody that is making this possible, and the money that comes into the future is turned around right back into producing the show that you guys see in front of you right now. And for everybody that's ever donated, for everybody who's purchased a product from us, I truly appreciate it. And although we've been doing this for 3.5 years, little over 1 year as the future, I myself have never taken a single dollar from this at all. All the money that we've ever made, we put back into this. So that's where the money has gone, you guys. Okay? So let's open up the next thing here. I got a really heavy box. It's a FedEx box, guys. FedEx box here. And this one is from Duo Graphics. So let me open this up. You guys can talk amongst yourselves if you want.
I'm excited. What is in this box?
Yeah, it's a big
now?
box, you guys.
Yeah.
So these are just
I'm
like randomly
curious.
people sent you this stuff?
And
It's never random, Aaron. but
someone's
yes.
saying male time. What about female time? Chris.
Hold on. Let me hit that female time. Where is that?
We're going to have everyone, just so they know, we're going to have an all-girls show with Chris.
Okay. Yes, we are. It's
coming
coming up.
soon.
It's coming soon.
Come soon.
I wonder
All
how the
girls
cutting
and
is
me.
going to be on that
Oh,
one.
It's
Aaron,
gonna be
that's
great,
sexist
'cause I'm
right
gonna be
there.
cutting.
How dare you?
All right?
Don't start a war, Aaron. Do not start a war. People are saying, I love you guys from Brazil. There's a lot of hearts going on right now. This one says, it's a little note here, guys. The first thing is, there's a book in here. I can feel it. And I'm going to open it up in a second. There's a note. The note says, hi, Chris. Here's a copy of my book, digitally printed. I would love for, your feedback as an active educator. There's some type something. Hopefully staff students can put them together to use. Best Marina. So I'm going to open this up, you guys. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's not even my birthday or anything. Dang.
I like that tape that they're using.
Oh, look
too.
at the tape,
It's,
you guys. You can see this tape.
Pretty cool.
And it's black tissue paper, and there's a nice card, handwritten note. Gosh.
Is that
Now,
like
hold
the
on.
subway train?
Aren't you only supposed to use 2 pieces of tape when you wrap presents?
Well,
Ben,
that
what is
tape's
going
really
on here?
that
Ben.
tape's really cool. So I don't
Man,
mind.
just relax, dude. When somebody sends you a present, you don't look a gift horse
Yeah,
in the mouth,
don't
I believe.
judge them on their tape.
I'm going to analyze every piece of wrapping paper that
Oh,
comes through the
my
door.
God.
Okay, so this is from Marina Poropat Joyce, designing for print. I like the color. Look at that.
Cool.
That's pretty
Cool.
cool. And that looks like it's from here. I couldn't read it, but I hold it up to the camera and now I can read it. It says print. PRNT. Very clever. And this is what Marina looks like in the back. So pretty cool book, you guys. And I will share that. And
That's cool.
she sent this type gauge, and I think that's what she was talking about, and some other goodies in here.
Ooh, I want to
There's
see that.
All kinds of stuff in here, you guys. And I'm not even done. And there's a bag of candy too.
What?
It's a pretty good package.
That's
Wow.
that's a
I
great
feel like I'm
package.
at camp and somebody
Who
sent
is
me a
this?
care package. This is somebody that I
I'm gonna
like.
call her, put her on the show.
Put on our show.
Yeah.
Well, I'll review the book at some point, an unbiased opinion. And lastly, and I'm going to open up
Last
this
thing.
book. Lastly, for letters today.
Someone says, "Wow, I want that book. Where can I get it?"
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. Once I find out where you can get the book,
Can
I
you
will
please
send you the links.
Tell us where to donate money.
You can donate money right now, you guys, on
On-
the Super Chat. That's an easy way. And Molly, on Facebook, you're going to share the link. So those of you guys that want to support us. And though we need a lot of money to make this thing work, every little bit helps, okay? It's like Jerry Lewis telethon here.
Someone said this is like a baby shower.
It is a baby shower, and I'm
Baby
the
shower
baby.
time.
I look just like a baby. I have the same haircut. Okay, this is from Daniel Palacios. And he sent us some things before. And if you guys have seen his poster that hangs on the wall, he has this poster he said is trust the process, and I love that. And I thought it was a reference to our show. You know, I live in my own little bubble here. So, and it was just an expression that he likes.
You could
Has
also
nothing to do with the show. Look at this, got a little care package here.
Cool.
High Pulp Studios,
One piece of tape.
highpulp.com. Ben likes the one giant sticker. That meets his standard. So let me open this up here. There's something in here, Ben. I'm feeling it.
Uh-oh.
I'm feeling it. Drum roll, you guys. Oh, yeah. Here it comes. There are two, not one,
Heyo.
but two caps.
One of them's
What
mine,
does
dude.
it say?
Come on, guys. Hold on.
Yeah, Aaron wants
out come
some
the wolves.
mail,
Hold on.
guys.
There's tons of stuff coming out of this bag here. I don't want to spill anything. So there are two caps. West Coastin. Beautiful hand lettering, embroidered. You guys look at that detail. It's beautiful stuff.
That's
West
cool.
Coastin.
I like the color. I like the
I
gray
need
one.
I
to
like the
Great.
gray one too. Yeah.
Look, I'll put it there like I'm Napoleon.
Very
Okay.
cool.
What else came out of this box? A handwritten note. Those of you guys that know Daniel, he's a hand lettering artist, logo designer, letterform person. Chris, thanks for constantly sharing your knowledge. Hope you enjoy the hats. Keep killing it. Daniel, look at the note, guys. Even the Chris part is beautifully done. Aaron, are we on autofocus or something? I think we are. And we'll have to change that. And then a bunch of stickers. I feel like it's merch day here at the Future. And a
one
pin.
of those is going on my laptop.
For
right
sure.
There.
For sure, you guys can have one of the stickers. We'll see. We'll see which ones you guys get. All right. Thank you so much, you guys, for sending us things. You can send me, obviously, questions. You can send me cash. You can send me anything you want. Okay.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that was cool, right, Ben?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, send more presents, guys.
Yeah.
More presents.
We
all
want
good.
letters too.
Letters,
I want a letter.
I love letters.
I like
I
hats
love-
and T-shirts.
In what size should the shirts come, Aaron?
You can do medium because I'm bulking up these days.
Are you bulking up?
Wow, really?
Yeah,
But
you moving?
seriously-
What was that, Molly? Shut up.
we should totally put a bulletin board together of all the thank you notes that we get, because we do get a lot. I get all your emails, and it's really, we appreciate every single one.
That's
Yes,
funny.
we do.
I don't get anything nice. Where's my love, man?
Anything else you want to say?
Well timed, dude.
I have
Good
a whole
timing.
bunch of sound effects
That was
here.
good.
I can cue up here. All right, let's move on to the next segment, you guys. Thursdays, as you guys know, is Mindset Day. And I want to mention before we get into the next two segments and we get out of here that we want to talk about tomorrow. Molly, tell us what's happening tomorrow.
Sorry. Tomorrow we are doing. What are we doing tomorrow?
The Zoom people thing.
Yes, we are
Oh
doing the.
my God!
We're doing the layout. I'm sorry. I was just doing a lot. Okay.
Oh, that's the wrong one. I want to do this one.
Tomorrow we're doing a layout review, and how you get your stuff reviewed is Chris posts on the Future.
Show them the page.
Okay.
You guys can't walk and chew
No,
gum at
it's
the
because
same
I'm trying to
time.
sign into YouTube so I can comment.
Someone said send Aaron some weed.
We do not endorse
No.
drugs here unless
I'll
it's
take it if you send
medicinal.
it, but
no,
don't do it. Don't
Aaron,
do it.
Aaron, don't do it. I'm not
That
sure if
was-
sending weed through the mail is legal.
Molly,
No,
any day
felony.
now.
All
Any
right,
day
it's
now.
it's the internet. It's
While
not
we're
me.
still young,
Okay.
blame the internet, of course.
It is the internet.
Do you know how fast
You
our
know what,
internet
guys?
connection is here?
Lay off me a little, okay? So Chris posts the week before or a couple weeks before about whatever the topic is for Friday. So next week it's motion design, and if you post your link, I will review your submissions, and then we'll pick like 6 or 7, 8 people depending on the posts, and we're gonna review your work for Friday. So this is where on the Facebook page you need to go and follow us so you can stay updated.
Was that clear to anybody?
Was that clear?
I'm a little lost.
So, okay, I want to sign up for your thing. What do I do?
All right, guys, cut back to me, Aaron. Let me tell you how this is done. That was Molly's first run at that. The hat.
Hey-o.
The hat on. It's making it a little dark on my face here. Okay, here's what you guys need to know. A lot of people are asking, how do I get my work critiqued? And do not send it to us. Don't send me a private message link. Don't
No
mention it in the
emails.
comments. Don't send it to in our emails. And it's not that we don't love reading your emails, but we just don't have time to sort this out. We get too many comments and messages all the time. So here's what we've decided to do. If you go onto the Future Facebook page, from time to time you're going to see these big bright yellow posts, and it says critique whatever it is, motion design reel, website, logo, and we're going to do that a couple of weeks ahead. And so those are the people who comment. Molly will comb through that, pick who she thinks are the best examples where we can learn from, learning opportunities, and then we will critique those on Fridays. So this Friday, as we did last Friday was critiquing your social media game. This Friday, we're going to be talking about your design and typography. So that one should be really good. And then you guys need to know also, next Tuesday, we're going to be launching the Typography Fundamentals series. So every Tuesday for a little bit of time, I'm going to be going through and teaching you how to design with type, hopefully to help you master type and not to kind of demystify a little bit so it's not so frightening for you to tackle. Okay, a lot of that will be lecture, some of it will be hands-on, and we'll have you also join us on the Zoom calls. And look on the Facebook page for the links to join the Zoom call. That's all I got to say about that.
I have one more event coming up.
Okay,
On
Mr. Burns, tell us.
Tuesday, September 5th, so next Tuesday, about a week away, I'm going to be hosting a webinar about finding your first design client. So this
Ooh.
is for you guys who are just starting out. Maybe you're in school and you're looking to find your first client right out of the gate. It's going to be very basic level stuff. So if you're an agency, this is probably not for you if you've been in the game for a while. But if you're looking for that first design client, join me Tuesday at 10:30 Pacific time. You can find all the information for that on our Facebook page. It's under events.
All right. I want to shout out to Jesus Corona. He says the poster of the guns is from an anti-racism festival. Makes total sense now. Anti-racism festival. That's what that is.
I think cutting to you with the different hats on is awesome.
Every time you cut to me, I'll wear a different hat. So you guys, we need like 36 hats, all right? Then we can get that going. All right, now that we've got all that business taken care of, you guys now know how to get all this information. I'm going to introduce the next segment, and the next segment is called Pitch This. Do we have a graphic ready?
No graphics. Sorry.
Yes, there is.
Oh, yeah.
What are you saying? It's playing right
Isn't
now.
there music going on right now?
Yes, there's music.
Pitch This, and let me explain Pitch This. All right, Pitch This. Ben Burns and I were talking about how we speak differently about design since I went to a design school, got my formal training, and you pick up all that art speak. You learn how to present just by watching other people present. And though Ben has a media arts degree, it wasn't as concentrated, so we thought it would be fun to introduce a new segment that we'll be rolling out every once in a while. What we'll do is Ben will be shown a frame. He'll have a few minutes to think about it, and then he will present it to me. I will critique it in terms of his presentation, and then I will pitch it back to him. And so you guys can see how we talk about design work a little bit differently.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that I've struggled with, that learning the visual vocabulary is really, if you don't go through a fine arts program, it's very difficult to pick up kind of organically because these are words that you rarely use. And so as I watched Chris pitch ideas, I'm just like, wow, I wish I could do that. And so this is kind of an effort of me learning and at the same time helping you guys learn.
Yeah,
I wish I could do this too.
Yeah, and I think maybe we should have Molly start.
No.
Yeah, Molly.
Yeah,
no,
Molly.
no. I will repeat the same 3 words. I cannot do this.
What are your 3 words?
It'd be fun.
No,
We should
I'm
do it.
not doing this.
We don't. We should do it.
No way.
I like to see Molly
Guys,
struggle a little
nope,
bit.
I'm sorry. Put my foot down. I'm gonna be. I'm comparing myself right now. Okay? I'm not doing this.
I thought you learned that lesson already, Molly.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just can't.
So you guys understand that? You understand the gig?
I have a question about it. So is this simulating when you're a designer and you're presenting your work to whoever's paying you to do it?
Yeah, or you could be presenting to your teacher. You could be presenting to your classmates. You can be presenting to your boss, your creative director, just to show some work and to talk about it.
And it's also helpful for feedback, too. When you have a designer that needs feedback from you on what to do and the next steps to take, having a good visual vocabulary really helps in that creative direction.
Okay.
Let me just say this, and the reason why this is important, because, I used to be like this when I was a much more introverted person and afraid to open my mouth. I used to feel like if I did all the work and the work was good, it should speak for itself. The work should speak for itself. It shouldn't need you to explain, because where in the world do you get to follow along your poster, your main title, and explain it to the audience to give them all that context? I thought that if you explained it with all that art speak, it's a bunch of BS, and nobody believes it anyways, and it's because you were lazy. And now that I'm a little older, a little bit more mature, I realize the power of language and how specific you can describe something and to kind of paint in the gaps to fill in the imagination. That's your power as a presenter, as an art director, somebody who can work with clients, and that's a skill. So if you're a great designer and you can't present the work, you can't articulate the ideas and the thinking behind it, you're only going to go so high in the corporate chain. You're going to only attract a certain kind of client, and that's just the truth as I know it.
Should we
Yes.
get
Should
on
we?
with
Well,
it?
hold on. No. Hold on.
Okay.
And you guys will realize this, that experts speak with a very specific language, and that's why this is important. Having said that, Molly,
Yes.
show us the work.
Ready?
So let's look at it. Molly's picked something. Go ahead, Molly. Show it to us. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Hold on. Ben is looking. And
I'm looking.
I need to zoom in a little bit. Can we go a little bit tighter, Molly? Okay, this is a stylescape that we present. And stylescapes we're not going to talk about in the show. You can find out how to do them on a different episode. Okay, so I have to give Ben a little bit of context. this is for a property for one of our clients, and it's for 450 Alaskan, and this is in Seattle, and it's by the water. It's in an industrial part of town, part of Pioneer Square, and it's by the water in Seattle. So there's a little context here. How many shots of this do we have, Molly?
3.
3. Okay. So Ben, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so we won't cut to Ben's face because I think the audience will need to look at this. And so Ben, go ahead and pitch it to me. And you have, say, a minute or less, okay?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Welcome to the new Nautical. With vibrant colors and the use of historical typography, the geometric sans serifs, we've combined kind of two contrasting ideas. The nautical aspects of this is deep in history. And you can see this in our detail, the way that we've used the nautical maps, the way that we kind of tap into historical type. And then we're bringing it into the modern age with vibrant pops of color and minimalistic layouts. And I think our hero really kind of sums it up. It's this older gentleman. He looks a little bit like he's salty, that he can tell these stories of life on the water, but he's not kind of faded into obscurity yet. The new Nautical.
Woo! Ben, you sweating? Do you need some deodorant after this? Yeah. How did Ben do, you guys? Ladies and gentlemen, how did he do? And Molly, I think it would have been nice if you zoomed in when he was talking because it was kind of hard to see.
Okay.
And I'm definitely going to need it because my monitor is only 8 inches and it's
Okay.
like 3 feet away from me. And it's tiny on the screen. Okay, so let me answer a couple of questions and then we're going to go and give Ben a little review and critique. And I'm going to give you guys a heads up. Molly and Aaron, I want to get your feedback first and then I'm going to say some things, okay? So people are
Feedback
saying,
about
good job,
me.
Ben.
Okay.
Graphic burrito, I don't know what that even means. Hey guys, I'm late. Okay, cool. All right. What was your reaction? How did Ben make you feel about that particular design?
Aaron?
I thought he did a good job because, to me, I don't know much about design, so it just kind of looked cool overall. Like, if I were to describe it, it would be very simple words like cool and fresh, whatever. But Ben really brought it to life for me, and it's like a whole story now I can understand, and I see the color mixing with the classic nautical thing. It was a simple, tight explanation, and I think it was good.
Molly?
Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm like sold over this whole thing. Like, I guess he did a good job, and I wrote down some of the words that he was using to describe it, and which was nautical, vibrant. I did like when he described the persona and this salty guy because that's where I really got into it and felt like who he was selling this and who the product was for, who he's pitching this to.
So a couple of people are commenting. Julian Rodriguez says, shut up and take my money. Anya says, sold the storytelling of the guy. Oh, Chris Hampshire is saying Molly is salty. Molly is not salty. Molly's adorable, you guys. Please. She's adorable. And I love her spirit, you guys. She's a welcome addition to the team here. And otherwise, it'd be like 3 dudes, and I'm tired of talking to 3 dudes. So
Thank you, Chris.
all right.
Thank you.
So, Ben, I thought you did a great job. Let's cut to the graphic here, please. Now, Ben started out by calling this the new Nautical. And I like that he gave this a theme for us to bite into. So he's giving the client a lens to look at this work. Then he started to talk about it. And I think he started off really strong. And I think he was starting to run out of ways to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Then he shifted over to the salty guy. And I know that my sons use the word salty to describe me a lot, so I don't think of that as a positive connotation. What does salty mean to you guys? Like a little
The
bitter?
other
A
connotation
little bitter?
is
Live life?
You're angry, you're not
Yeah,
happy.
a little
Yeah, but I don't think he
cynical?
was I didn't
In
take
this
it.
context, though,
Yeah,
I
I
didn't know
didn't-
what he meant. Like, sea, salty, he's a captain, he's got
Yeah,
stories.
he's not
Maybe
scared to
weathered.
get dirty.
Weathered.
Weathered is probably a better word for
Yeah.
that.
But salty, yeah, salty does have negative when you're
But
salty.
that's kind of how life on the sea is, though. You know, those dudes are pretty salty.
Yeah, you're right.
They're
You know,
like
they're
covered
not
in sea
optimists
salt,
by any
literally.
means.
Well, now you're stretching it, right?
Well,
A
people
little
are saying
bit.
it means grumpy, bitter.
See, it's not a good word, guys. It's not a good word. So that's something you want to think about because this is the client.
So weathered was what you
Right,
wanted
so-
to say.
Let's try it again. So whatever. He's a bit rough. I get that. So Molly, can I see?
Sorry.
Geez, you're killing me here. Can I see the 2 pages, please? Okay, and
That's one.
and get into the other one. Aaron, don't cut to me because I'm gonna lean really close into the camera right now. All right. Okay. Lots of ways to talk about this, and I think what I heard Ben say, it sounded a little pitchy to me, like he was trying to sell me. I like a more straightforward approach and just kind of say it as it is and fill in the gaps. So what aren't we seeing? What aren't we able to connect? Does everybody got that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Should I cut to the...
Are you going to do yours now?
Yeah, I'm
Your
going to do
pitch?
mine. I'm
Okay.
just seeing what else I can say to Ben because there's a learning opportunity.
Did I get anything wrong?
No, I don't think there's such a thing as wrong.
Well, I called that typeface a geometric sans serif. Was I right there? I'm pretty sure I was right, but
No, I think you're right. It's a
that right?
sans serif
Yeah.
Okay.
typeface.
It is geometric. There's...
It's geometric, yeah. How does that fill in the gaps? So describing the typeface, you're trying to help them understand the design, not just use design speak, and that's a tricky part. So if you say we think Helvetica is totally fresh for this, you kind of have to think, well, why would that matter to them? Why does that matter? If you say the leading is perfect and immaculate, you're talking to another designer.
Yeah.
So you have to remember that the person sitting on the opposite side of the table is not an artist, is not a designer, though they have creative tendencies and they appreciate good design. Using very specific design language in some instances where it's not telling a larger story is not necessarily a good thing.
gotcha.
Their eyes might roll over.
So
You
I,
ever-
I thought of something like,
Go ahead.
when you say visual vocabulary, you don't mean like design specific words about typography and kerning. You don't mean those words. You
I don't mean those words.
Maybe you could like make the distinction between like design speak and visual vocabulary.
That's a good question.
Oh, you know
Really
what?
good.
I think we accidentally bumped into the theme of this show about comparison as a means to understand. What we want to do is we want to take something we don't know and attach it to something we do know. So when you talk about type and you use another type term, that's not going to help people. But if you talk about design and you connect it to something that they know, as in Kevin Costner Tatanka, then we have this shared visual language and we can talk about that.
And that's what you're trying to do.
Yes, we're trying to bridge that gap. Okay, so let's try. So I'm not going to, you'll notice my tone is going to be very different than Ben. I try to speak about it more of matter of fact. So let's pull it up and let me talk about it. So I'm going to give myself a minute to talk about it. I probably won't even need the full minute. And you guys realize this? Towards the end, it's almost like you're running out of oxygen and you want to take this deep breath.
Yes.
And Ben keeps talking and talking and talking, and then it starts to fall apart.
Yeah.
You start to run out of things to say. So when you feel like you've said it, just stop and emphatically be clear and walk away from that. That's totally okay. Let's look at this. Okay, here I go. This direction is really inspired by the proximity to the harbor. And when I think about the harbor in the bay, I think of two things. One, our sailboats, and I think about container ships. This is a working harbor. This is not some yacht club. And I think it's reflective of the culture and the people we're trying to attract. Take, for example, the man. The man is our typical client. He's sophisticated. He has a worldview. He's seen things in his life, and he doesn't care about the glossy trappings of a glamorous life. This is truly the Seattle market. Now, when I talk about containers, shipping containers, we pull out a few examples here of really inventive uses of container architecture. And you can see that on the Puma display. As I'm talking about it, somebody's cutting off my graphic. Thank you very much. And so we look at the topography. It has a very utilitarian aspect to it, and we like that. And I think we can mix that in. We're also trying to find fresh ways to bring in nautical elements. And the bold graphic pattern you see in the herringbone pattern behind the man on the left, my left, I guess, in the tube, you can see that, and I think we can integrate those elements to give it this kind of pop, this fresh graphic flavor. And we're taking what you would find on maps, I think it's called topology, where it's the depth of what the terrain is underwater, and we want to use those as a graphic motif and as a device. Lastly, let's flip to the other slide.
Oh my God.
Molly's falling apart. Any day now. Go backwards, Molly. Right there. If you can see right there, 450 and 450, the red 450 next to the blue bottle, it's reverse. And the inspiration for that was from looking at sailboats, and they have beautiful topography on the sail mast. I think that's what they're called. But because they're translucent, you see it flip backwards. And I think we can introduce those kinds of elements as kind of a nod to sailboats without it being too on the nose. Of course, the deep blue indigo color is reflective of the sea, but I think it's a fresh take on that, and hopefully it creates a little bit of surprise for you. And that's what I have to say about this.
Woo! That was
Thank
good.
you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for this segment, you guys. If you guys want to comment, ask a question, or say something on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, let us know. Both Molly and Aaron are actively looking at that, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Anything else?
Yes.
The internet went quiet. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I know.
They were in awe.
Chris, I thought of something. Maybe for
Go
next
ahead.
time when we do this pitch this thing, we could maybe start with the brief that they gave you.
I tried to a little bit when I was trying to give Ben some context without it getting too boring and dry. I know you guys are jonesing to get the thing going, but that's why I was saying it's next to the water, and it's in Pioneer Square. It's in Seattle, and it's got a different vibe.
Well, and I would like to be able to pull this stuff out of my pocket too.
Yeah, you should be able
You know?
to. We should be able to have a deck of images where we just pull it on Ben or myself. We have a minute to look at it and kind of figure out our angle of selling it, and then pitch it right back.
Yeah.
And if you get that good, you will be ready for anything.
Chris, I had a question.
what-
Oh, go ahead, Molly.
No, I was just saying what I noticed, because as I was trying to write down words that you were saying and Ben was saying, and you were really picking things out more of the, like, you were talking directly, like the container ships, the harbor.
Yes.
You were saying direct things that were coming from this, and Ben's was more like nautical, vibrant, historical, geometric,
It was
modern.
like top level versus yours was like talking about specific things on this stylescape.
Is that what you're saying, Molly?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And you have a
That's-
question, or you just
No,
a
I just
statement?
want to, like, it was just interesting because I'm trying to make a list of visual words, and for you, it was like the words were really specific to this. So
Yes.
it was just interesting.
Okay, and we can, and I would love for Ben to critique me now, but I do want to say a certain thing here. We spent a lot of time on these stylescapes, and those of you guys that are unfamiliar with the term, as I was a couple of years ago, you can think of them as mood boards, tear sheets, and things like that. We put a lot of time and energy into selecting these images, so I need to be able to pull them out. I need to surface them. I need to highlight them and give the client something to think about, because later on we want feedback from this, and if they don't even look at that one corner, what's the point of us including it? And I want to be very deliberate and intentional, not only in what we put on the page, but how we talk about it, because I want that feedback to come back.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Burns, maybe you can give me a critique.
I mean, I thought you did great. The only thing that I felt was missing, which you've done before and I've noted before, is literally telling people how something feels, like in their hand. So I was kind of missing that texture. And I mean, obviously, I didn't do that, but in your pitches, you've done that before, and it's been really impactful. And I've seen people
one.
do this,
Right.
You know,
Yep. So describing the other senses, what you hear, what you might touch, what it feels like, those are all good things. Okay, somebody read some comments. I got to clear my throat here.
Yeah. People are saying this is a great lesson. I love it. Keep it up. So looks like we hit something good there. Caught my attention until the end. Let's see.
I wonder what they mean by
Go
that.
ahead.
Yeah.
Caught my attention till the end.
I don't know either.
Well, because sometimes our show would amble on.
Oh,
and
I get it,
meander
yeah.
throughout, and we're not quite sure what we're talking about. We're adding more structure to our show, you guys, and we'll talk a little bit more about that on the next show, how we plan to do Thursdays. Fridays will be very simple because it would just be critiquing your work, and I think you guys like that. The numbers reflect that. Okay.
Should we move it on to the
Let's
next
move on to the
segment?
next segment. The next segment is called Things I Learned in Design School.
Okay, well, I screwed this
Wait,
up
hold on.
already.
No, you can keep talking. It's cool. We're talking over the sound.
That seems rude. All right. But Ben doesn't know that. Can you guys hear the sound?
No one can.
Nobody can hear it. So that's why he doesn't
It's a
know.
mystery.
Yeah.
Sorry about
All right.
that.
Go ahead, Ben. How did you
So
screw
I
up,
screwed
Rick?
this up. I titled this "What I Didn't Learn in Design School."
That's okay. No, this
No,
is
that
perfect.
works out.
That works out perfectly.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
works
Okay,
out
wait.
fine.
Let me introduce this segment, and then we're going to do this, okay? Ben, again, this is an idea that was born from Ben. He said, I want to fill that gap between what I learned and what I didn't learn. And he said, Chris, you've learned things. So what did you learn in design school? Give me an assignment. Have me do some research. And I'm good at research, and I want to learn more. So I said to Ben, look up Aleksander Rodchenko. Those of you guys on the internet, if you know who Aleksander Rodchenko is, type in what you know about him right now without going on the internet, obviously, and searching. Who here knows about Aleksander Rodchenko? Say me, I know something, or who? Let me see your comments, you guys. All right, and now we're going to look at Ben's deck here. But I just want to give the internets a chance to chime in on this, to show us how much
They're
they know.
quiet. They're quiet.
It's really interesting because when you're self-taught, the hardest thing is putting together a curriculum for yourself. So if I didn't know this specific name, I would have never found this person. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of this exercise, is that we're bringing the curriculum to the self-taught.
Okay, there's a bunch of people now starting to comment. Obviously not 200 people, but there's a handful of people. Somebody's saying, Landon Cooper is saying greatest of all time. Vanessa doesn't know who he is. Nope. Somebody says
An
he's
Olympian.
Ukrainian, constructivism, all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's dive into it. Ben, this is your segment of your show, so let's do this.
Okay, so just a disclaimer first. This is all stuff that I've researched. Most of it comes through the internet. So if I get something wrong, let me know in the comments.
Yeah, let him have it.
Yeah, and Chris, this is totally a conversation, so feel free to chime in. You're not going to throw me off by interrupting.
Okay.
All right, so Aleksander Rodchenko. He was born in 1891 in Russia, and he died in 1956, also in Russia. He was a painter, a graphic designer, a sculptor, and he was basically self-taught in the beginning. He taught himself how to paint by using art magazines. Then he pursued 5 years of professional training as a designer and an artist, both at school and kind of apprenticeships. So this is one of his early works. It's called Dance and Objectless Composition in 1915. And the reason why I wanted to show this is because it was at this point that he went to school. So 1915 was when he, started his formal education. And at that moment, he basically started to change the way he approached art. And you can see that in one of his next works. So this is 1920. So this is where we start to bring about his transformation into Constructivism. Am I saying that right?
Constructivism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So very, very simple, bold shapes and lines and stuff like that. And you can kind of see the final transformation in his fine art with this pure red color, pure yellow color, pure blue color piece of work that he dubbed the end of painting in 1921. And so these 3 monochromatic squares, he basically claimed that he had reduced painting to its core. And this was his expression of that. So at this point, he began to embrace design over painting, and he rejected artwork as something precious and unique. And he embraced the idea of artists and designers as engineers over aesthetic. How do you say that, Chris? Aesthetes?
Aesthete. Yep.
Aesthetes.
Mhm.
So somebody that values aesthetics. And he wanted artists and designers to basically contribute to the social good and purpose instead of being commenters on it. So his work is really kind of intertwined with politics. All right, so he's also known as a father of constructivism. We talked about this a little bit, and this piece is called Spatial Construction number 12. This is in 1920, and you can see that it's a piece of plywood that he's cut into concentric circles and basically allowed the material to dictate the form and the shape of this piece. Chris, can we go to you? What do you think about this piece?
This piece here?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm not that familiar with his fine art, or if this is photography or a sculpture. What am I looking at here, Ben?
So It's basically his comment on the planetary orbits, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically wanted to make...
Oh, so this is a mobile?
Yeah, it's kind of suspended in air. All right, so the constructivist movement basically used clean lines, primitive shapes, flat colors, and just the complete absence of like frivolous embellishments. Kind of neat.
Well, I'm glad you did this for historical context so you guys get a broader picture of who Aleksander Rodchenko is. And for me, he's the father of constructivism and the beginning of graphic design as we know it today. And you're going to see in the ongoing series how we're going to connect this all the way from the 1920s to Aaron Draplin today. And you're going to see this thread. So let's go to his graphic design work where we can get our audience super excited. So let's take a look at some of his iconic work here. And a lot of people are saying he's a poster artist, and it's really, I don't want to put him in that label. He's just a graphic designer in this instance, and he is heavily influential, and we're going to be able to thread that for you guys in a series. So keep going, Ben.
Yeah, so what was interesting to me was to see that kind of final or finite switch from fine art into design and basically visual engineering that we have here. So this is a poster that he did for it's called Better Pacifiers, and it kind of embodies his switch from aesthetics into purpose, because this was one of the first times that modern design and modern aesthetics were brought into Russian advertising, which is pretty neat.
Remember, this is in the 20s, turn of the century here. This is pre-Macintosh, pre-Photoshop. All this stuff was done by hand.
I'm going to get rid of these grids.
Please.
It's bothering me.
Yeah.
I thought that was part of your design.
No, I knew that something was funny.
I was like, ugh.
Okay, there we go. It's nice and clean now. Thanks, Ben. All right, let's keep going here.
All right, so this is my favorite. This
so good.
Is just, man.
Wait, can we talk about what those posters were meant to do?
This was an advertisement.
For what? For what?
Pacifiers.
Pacifier.
So you can see there's there's 8 pacifiers around this, or 9 around this baby's mouth.
I thought they were bullets.
Me too.
Or
Yeah.
like grenade things or something.
Well, you guys, we're not experts in Russian constructivism and graphic design. I like to keep us on the area of safe and talking about what we know versus what we don't know.
Right.
Because some historian will come in here and tear us apart. So I just want you guys to be familiar with his work and then dive in deeper. And now you're going to see something here. Now, as you're looking at this work, think in your mind, is there an artist we've seen or people who've done work like this? And let's just keep it going, okay?
Yes.
We can't dive too deep because we're safe on the surface. When we go too deep, we're going to get ourselves into trouble.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
I think it's also safe to talk about the typography here. How it's just like, I mean, super square. It's very geometric. It's solid. And it basically kind of props up the rest of the design. All right, let's get into this next piece because this is my favorite out of all of the stuff that he's done. This is called Books, and this was a political poster. So as Rodchenko moved into the 1920s, he began to get really involved with the Communist Party there. I think it was the Bolsheviks. I'm not really sure on that.
That sounds about right.
Basically, this was kind of a propaganda poster where, and this is what we were talking about earlier, this black, red, and white thing. And this poster was to drive the creation and the acceptance of books in, so it says on the right something to the effect of in all branches. I don't know whether that means government or what that means, but it's a political driven poster. The cool thing about this is it's like the montage of photograph with solid shapes. Chris, earlier you told me it was from a specific movement. I'm drawing a blank there.
Yeah, someone's saying it is from the Bolsheviks.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I think this is a collage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first female cinematographer, according to Eric Romero.
And someone said this is where Shepard Fairey got his game from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it.
I know.
It's coming.
Yeah.
So when we talk about originality, this is a dangerous topic. I don't want to start it today because I don't want to set a firestorm going on right now because there's lots of conversations about originality. You think the work is original and fresh. All you have to do is keep retracing things back, and you're going to get to the source. At one point, it was original, but now everything comes from something, right? This is at the beginning of graphic design, so everything that was done was original, whether it was good or bad or not. But I love
even the collage technique was from the Dada, right?
Yeah, Dadaism.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. But I love the asymmetry, whereas the other piece I guess it's symmetrical too. It's just on its side. There's heavy symmetry in these compositions, and it's hard to pull off symmetrical layouts and make it look fresh and modern.
Right.
And typically when you see a centered layout, it's very old-fashioned looking. But I love the shape, how the word coming out of her mouth gets bigger as if it's a comic book dialogue thing going on, and those lines continue out and bounce back.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful, amazing design. I am pretty sure if you broke this down into a grid, there's probably some crazy golden means situation going on here, because a lot of painters back in the day, when they're painting 3 squares on a page or on a canvas, they were using those kind of rules with the grid. So let's keep going. We got a bunch more things to look at, right?
Yeah. So this is a series of magazine covers that he did.
Beautiful.
Online, you guys can find all this stuff on the Museum of Modern Art website. There were like 40 of these, and they were all very similar. They all had different collages in that center part, but every single one had a different color. And I just like the consistency, the chunkiness of the, as Draplin says, thick lines. It's just awesome.
Okay, I want to just address a couple of comments. Let's cut to Ben's face while I'm talking here, because from time to time we should see Ben's face. People are saying, oh my God, I'm going to cry. This is so incredible. Why am I going to art school when I could be listening to this? People are asking about how to donate. You guys, look, it's super straightforward. All you have to do is hit the super chat button, and there's a $sign on the chat thing. You guys can do that. You can also donate on Facebook.
I posted the link.
Okay.
So
and we're going to keep going. And you guys, I guess it's thematic here. The Russian constructivism, there's a political movement attached to it.
Yeah.
We're trying to create a movement here with what we're doing. We're trying to teach you the things that I learned in school, and Ben's going to help us do that by doing all the hard work, and he's going to learn, and you guys are the beneficiaries of that as well. So, like I said, this stuff is not free. We're just giving it away for free. Let's keep going. Let's jam.
Yeah, so this next piece, it was 1924, but it's untitled. I think it was just a cover of a magazine or perhaps an advertisement. So there's no title on a couple of these. But I just love the use of space here, and it's just so simple and, again, just chunky. Those bold shapes. It's awesome.
Oh, thick lines, Ben.
Thick lines, man.
Keep going.
thick lines.
Oop. What happened to the cut there?
Uh-oh.
There we go. This is a very iconic piece.
Yes. So I found this about like 10 minutes ago, so I don't know much about this. Chris, can you speak to this? I love the way it looks.
I can't, but in the following weeks when we show you the American pioneer graphic design movement, you're going to see posters that bear a striking resemblance to this. You're going to see matchbook covers and citrus box covers and things like that. And even in the modern era, in the 80s and the 90s, graphic designers referencing this because the work was so good. And here's the thing that you guys have to remember. It's 2017. This work was done in the 20s.
Right.
So this is something close to 100 years old. Look how fresh this looks.
And it's still good.
Why is it still so good, you guys? You did work
Timeless.
2 weeks ago and it's already dated looking. Seriously.
It's true.
Right? And so Ben, Augustine just gave us $10. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Augustine. Really appreciate it. Ben, you and I got into this discussion. It almost turned bad, but luckily I didn't go there. But you said, Chris, this is so on trend. And I looked at you like, that's not a compelling argument for Ben. Please, never say to me, this is on trend, because I'll just destroy it. I strive to create design that is timeless. Things that don't follow trends, but are based and rooted in strong design principles. That's not to say that you should ignore what's happening in society and culture, or there's different interfaces that are being used. That's okay, but grounded in solid design fundamentals. Don't chase a font that was cool, because you know what happens when it's not cool anymore? Your work is not cool. And you'll feel bad. You know that shame that Molly was talking about before? When you jump on the flavor of the month design trick, graphic, or texture, you're going to regret it later. Let's keep going.
People are talking about, how do you do timeless design? How can we do that?
Okay, let's cut to that and I'll tell you how to do it. You remember that game before when we were saying look at the design?
Wow.
Not this one, the previous? The airplane?
I like that.
Yeah, let's look at this, you guys. Okay, if you use really basic shapes, geometric things, a square, a circle, a triangle, you're off to a good start, and you can see all three shapes here. Look how the eye is drawn in. If you follow the exclamation point down to the, everything's flipped backwards for me. Follow that around. It hooks up to the top, and it points right at the airplane. This is super dynamic composition. the shapes are designed to draw your eye in. Masters of composition, whether it's painting or not, or photography, do the same kinds of tricks where they bend the elbow a certain way and the finger points to the bowl and the bowl kind of puts you back into the frame.
Mm-hmm.
If you study comic book art, the ones that design panels really well, they do this as well. So for sure, we're going to get into comic book artists, different graphic designers, photographers. This is going to be rich content for you guys. Now look at the typography here. Essentially, I can't really tell, but it looks like it's one or two typefaces. It's bold, and it follows the rule of contrast where you can see the airplane shape, the big block of red color, simple shapes, no gradations, no stippling, no cross-hatching, because they know how to make an image read.
I like the repetition too.
Super simple, guys.
The shapes of the type fit the rest of the shapes on the page. You know what I mean?
Yes. Hey, I have to say that Grant,
$10.
anyway, he donated $10. He says, Chris, use this to buy cough meds. Please don't get sick before half res. Love this channel and all it contributes to the community. Grant, I'm looking forward to seeing you Chi-Town in Chicago.
People are loving the new structure of these segments on that what we're doing right now.
Great.
So.
Right
and
on.
Afro Pick is saying, these so nice. These designs are so nice. Okay, keep going. We're almost done here. Let's finish strong, Ben.
So here's another logo, and he did a lot of work for aviation or airplanes, but a lot of it is untitled or uncredited. I just loved the symmetry, the use of shape here. It's unique, and to be honest, like I have seen this in other places ripped off. So I know that this is kind of like out there, but I love this.
I think he does it best.
Well, guys, what are we looking at? We're talking about basically two circles, the outer circle, the inner circle. I guess there's three circles and the propeller part that connects it. And it's split. It's still somewhat symmetrical. And it's a beautiful way to do this. Red, black, and there's enough of a gap between things so that everything separates and read nicely, whether you scale it up or down. And I'm not saying this as trying to call something out, but the BMW logo is quite like this.
Oh.
Right? Because the BMW logo is also an abstract representation of propeller blades. But that's, look, you guys know where I stand on this whole idea of originality. I put out a tweet this morning that says, if you think your work is original, it suggests that you're either ignorant or arrogant. You're ignorant because you don't know the history, and you're arrogant because you think it was all you who did it. So a healthier perspective is to let go of this concept of trying to be original. And just because it's original to you doesn't mean it's original. If we can just let go of trying to be original and just focus on trying to be good, I think it's a much healthier place for all of us to operate out of it. So now we're going to do this series, and you're guys going to learn and see where everything comes from and realize it's futile. It's futile.
All right, we got two more slides.
Two more slides, and let's finish it off.
So here's this poster. This is something that you called out to me. I'm going to let you take this because I don't know too much about this one.
Okay, the image on the left, I assume, is the original poster from Rodchenko.
Yeah, that's the original.
And
then
there's some funny things going on. First of all, I don't know who this woman is, but she's got an amazing gaze upon us. She's looking right direct at us. Her eyes are wide open. It's super intense.
Yeah.
And I love how her shoulder and neck are cut out. It almost looks like an eyeball or an eye shape itself. And so there's this thing about eyes and repetition and forms. I don't love the type on top where it's reversed out. That's what he wound up doing, and who am I to criticize that? And then on the other side of this is the red car logo, which is a literal ripoff of this thing. And that's okay. That's an editorial company. And I'm not here to point fingers and say, that's not original, you knocked us off. But just to point out to you how much of our visual vocabulary is borrowed from the past. So our thing is to put our own spin on it, to do our own interpretation of it, and put two things together. Make it your own. That's it. Next up.
So what's interesting next is, in the 1930s, Rodchenko fell out of favor with the Communist Party. And so a lot of the aesthetics that he had created became outlawed. They were literally outlawed. They were illegal. So what he did was he shifted his focus to photojournalists and back to painting. The last slide I have is one of the best photos that I've seen. It's called Steps. It was done in 1930. He took photos at these weird, like really strange angles that just gave the shape, the shapes that were created by the light and the shadows. It just gave them a different look that we probably hadn't seen before his time. And what I really like about this is that we've got this repeating kind of strong geometric shape that goes diagonally across the frame, and it's contrasted by a mother and child who are rounded, they're softer, they're gentler. I was blown away when I saw this.
It's a beautiful photograph.
Yeah,
I'm not
it
familiar with this piece myself, but I love the lines. And when we talk about Lester Beale and his poster art and his graphic design, American designer, you're going to see the repetition of those forms, and he'll use red, white stripes to speak about America and patriotism. And anytime you have repeating patterns like this, your eye is able to both appreciate the pattern and the silhouette that's popping out of it. I better get that cough drop going. Okay, Rocksteady just dropped $1 on us. Thank you very much. Every little bit helps. And I want to read something here from Namiko Yodono. She's, I think, is a woman, or I shouldn't even say that. To be honest,
yeah.
I didn't find the value of design history while I was in school way back then. Now I truly regret that. I want to learn again. And it's true. All the things that you learned in design school about presentation, oratory skills, design history, we're all falling asleep. It's like, how is this relevant? How is this relevant? Now it's relevant, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, I completely agree. When I saw that comment, I was like, damn, I know what she's saying.
Yeah.
Because when I was, it's like you learn it your first couple turns and it just goes one. For
Teach me how to use Illustrator, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it was really good to learn this stuff again.
So let's talk about that and let's wrap up the show. First of
Okay.
all, I also want to say thanks to Rocksteady. He dropped $1. Now he's dropping $2. What's next for? Who knows where this is going to go? Let's do a Fibonacci sequence here. If you guys know what that means, you get the joke. It's a inside designer joke. Okay, let's talk about this. Wait, what the heck were we talking about as I was giving a shout out to Rocksteady?
That when I learned this in design school, it kind of went in one ear out the other because
Yeah.
I was doing so many other things. So
Before we dig in,
yeah.
Aaron, can you go to my screen? If you guys want to look this guy up before we close out this segment, it's Aleksander Rodchenko. Take a screenshot.
There you go. Screenshot that. Aleksander Rodchenko, and look him up and find out more about him.
Cool.
Okay, so there's this emphasis on learning tools. And I even said at the base of the pyramid is to learn the tools. So let me clarify a couple things here. So when the teachers are talking to you about theory, history, where things come from, principles, those kinds of things, how to communicate, we're not tuning that in because we're like, just show me how to use Illustrator, just show me how to use Photoshop or make 3D objects because I know I can go get a job with that. And that is the tendency, and I don't want to throw judgment on that. And the reason why I say the base level of the pyramid of learning is learn the tools first so that you can fully engage in the principles and the fundamentals of design or art. So when you take away that need, for example, if I'm going to a class and I'm really hungry, all I'm focusing on is what is for lunch and the fact that I'm hungry or I should have eaten breakfast. But once I feed myself, now I'm full and I'm ready to take in what's next and I could be present. And I also think learning tools while you're in class paying thousands of dollars is not necessarily a good way to spend your money. Now you can do it because some people enjoy being led by an instructor classes, but the tools are the easiest things to learn, and it's the first thing you should learn. And that's all I have to say about that, you guys. I want to thank the dream team, including Mr. Ben Burns, who came in strong today, who really contributed to the concepts that we're sharing with you guys in this segment. So Ben's going to be back, Matthew and Tina. We're going to have an all-girl show, including myself. Aaron is like, yeah, let's see what that happens.
Yeah,
Let's see
and
what
we're
that
going
looks
to do these segments ongoing.
Okay, Aaron, take us out of here. Before I say that, you guys, I want to remind you, you are not defined by your past. The future is what you make it. See you guys next time.